So last time we found out that Coomara was taking the souls of drowned sailors and putting them in bottles. And Jack decided that's not okay, and he needed to save these souls. And so what Jack planned to do was have Coomara come to his house, and he was going to get Coomara drunk. And while Coomara was drunk and had fallen asleep, he could sneak back down into Coomara's house and set some of those souls free. And so he said, yeah, come to my house next week. And Coomara said, okay, when you want me to come over, throw a rock in the ocean, and that way I'll know it's you inviting me over. And Jack's like, sounds good. Well, the day came for Coomara to come up, so Jack went up to the beach, threw a rock in as a signal, and then Coomara came out, and they went to his house, and they're laughing and talking, and Jack, gave him a little bit extra whiskey, and before he knew it, Coomara was drunk and had fallen asleep. So he snuck the little hairband that made it so he could breathe underwater. He took it from Coomara. He walked to the ocean, put it on, and started to swim towards Coomara's house. But he realized he was too drunk to make his way back. He had drunk too much when he was with Coomara. He was figuring that if he wore the hat, he could breathe underwater, and then the cold water would make him wake up and make him sober. But when you wear that hat, it makes you feel like a fish, and you're used to that water. It doesn't feel cold. And so he was still drunk, and that didn't work. And so the first time he went to go save souls, he failed. Well, Jack swam back and went back into his house, and there was Coomara in the, kitchen, just kind of drunk. And then he finally woke up, and he looked at Jack, and he said, wow, that was fun. Same time next week? And Jack said, yeah, sure. And then Coomara left. Now, you may be wondering, how did Jack's wife not notice a merman in their house? Well, here's the thing. Jack was making the Coomara come to their house every time it was Sunday. And normally, Jack and his wife would go to church on Sunday. But then all of a sudden, Jack told her, I'm not going to church today. And his wife said, what do you mean you're not going to church today? And he said, well, I need to do things for the Lord. She's like, we go to church for the Lord. He's like, this is more important. She's like, drinking is not more important than going to church. You need to go to church for the Lord. He's like, I'm doing this for the Lord. And they got in a huge fight. She got angry and then left and went to church. And that's when Coomara, came over. So the next week came, and he had another huge fight with his wife about, I need to stay for the Lord, and she left and was angry. And he went again. He got Coomara drunk, went down, but this time he wasn't drunk because he put a little bit of water in his whiskey. So that way he didn't drink as much alcohol. So that way he made it all the way to Coomara's house. And when he got to the souls, he realized he didn't want to set them all loose at once. Because again, Coomara was his friend. He did care about Coomara, and he didn't want Coomara to not hang out with him anymore. So he figured, I'll just let, every week I'll let 2 or 3, souls free. That way Coomara won't notice. And the other thing you can see from this is he didn't want people to know about Coomara. He didn't want his wife even to know about Coomara, because if people saw this merman, who knows what they would do? Maybe they would try and kill him or hunt him or, hang him up in a museum or something. And he didn't want that to happen to his friend. And so you can see here, he's really conflicted because he doesn't want these souls to be trapped in bottles, but he doesn't want to hurt his friend either. And so he's thinking, okay, I'll just slowly let a couple of souls out every week that I go down. Well, Jack came back to his house, but this time when he got into the kitchen, his wife was standing there, staring at Coomara on the floor. She had found out about the merman, and she asked Jack, what is that? And then she looked at the table and saw all the alcohol, She's like, this is not for the Lord. And Jack says, no, you don't understand, you don't understand. And then he explained everything that was going on. He told her that he was doing this to save souls. And so after he explained that part, his wife said, well, did you save all the souls then? He's like, no, because Coomara doesn't understand that it's wrong, and he's my friend. And I figured if I did it slowly, then he wouldn't notice. And if he didn't notice, then we could still be friends and we could protect him. But whatever you do, don't tell anybody about him, because I care about him and I want him to be safe. So his wife said, well, in that case, I support you because that is for the Lord. So this went on for a long time. Every week, Jack would go in, throw a rock, Coomara would come out, he'd get him drunk, and then he would save some souls, right? And so this happened over and over and over again. Every week, throw the rock in, and, save some souls. Until finally, one day he went to the ocean, he threw a rock in, and Coomara didn't come back. Now, in my opinion, I think the moral of this story is communicate. I mean, what he could have done is sat Coomara down and say, okay, I know that you felt bad for these souls in the bottles and you're trying to help them, but the best way to help a soul is to let it loose, set it free, so it can go to the next life, so it can go to heaven or wherever it's supposed to go. But this isn't helping them. This is actually bad for them. And if you're keeping these souls not because you're trying to save them, but because you like sparkly things, well then let's find some other sparkly things to put in your bottles. And then that way you're not harming these souls instead of doing it behind Coomara's back. So yeah, that's the story of the soul cages.
上一次我们讲到 Coomara 会把那些溺水的水手灵魂装在瓶子里， Jack 觉得那样很不 OK， 所以他要去拯救那些灵魂。 Jack 的计划呢，就是把 Coomara 邀请到家里来，把他灌醉。在 Coomara 喝醉睡着以后， Jack 就可以偷偷到 Coomara 的家里，把那些灵魂放掉。所以 Jack 对 Coomara 说，那你下礼拜来我家吧。 Coomara 说，好啊，你想要我来的时候就丢一颗石头到海里，这我就知道是你邀请我了。 Jack 说，好。到了 Coomara 要来的那天， Jack 走到海边，把石头丢进海里， Coomara 就出来了。他们一起到 Jack 的家里，一边聊天一边笑。 Jack 偷偷的给他多一点的 whisky。 过没多久 Coomara 就喝醉，然后睡着了。这时候 Jack 偷拿走那个发带，这样他才能在水里呼吸。好，所以他从 Coomara 那里拿走以后带上去，开始往 Coomara 的家游。但是他发现自己喝太醉了，没办法游回来。刚刚跟 Coomara 喝的时候，自己也喝太多了。他本来以为如果他带了发带，他可以在海里呼吸，然后海的冷水可以让他从酒醉清醒。可是其实你带那个发带，它会让你像一只鱼，你会习惯海水的温度，不会觉得冷。所以 Jack 在海里还是太醉了，没办法清醒。他第一次拯救灵魂的任务失败了。 Jack 有回到他家， Coomara 还醉倒在厨房那边。他醒来以后看着 Jack 说，哇，今天很好玩耶，下礼拜同一时间吗？ Jack 说，好啊。然后 Coomara 就回去了。你听到这边可能会想， Jack 的太太怎么都没发现有一个人鱼在他们家？其实 Jack 都计划让 Coomara 在星期天的时候来他家。通常他跟他太太星期天会去教会，可是突然有一天 Jack 跟他太太说，我今天不去教会了。他太太说，什么意思？你今天不去教会了？ Jack 说，我今天要为主做一些事情。我们去教会就是为了主，但是今天要做的事情更重要。喝酒没有比去教会更重要，你应该为了主去教会。 Jack 说，但是我今天要做的事情真的是为了主。然后他们开始大吵架，他太太超生气，就自己离开去教会了。然后 Coomara 在那之后过来，所以呢，隔了一个星期 Jack 又跟太太大吵架，像这样，我需要留在家，这是为了神。然后太太生气的离开。 Jack 再次实施他的计划，他让 Coomara 喝醉，然后自己跑到海里去。但是这一次他没有喝醉，他有放一些水在自己的 whisky 里，这样他就不会喝到太多酒精，然后也能让他成功到达 Coomara 的家。在 Jack 到灵魂瓶子那边时，他觉得不能一次全部放走那些灵魂，因为 Coomara 是他的朋友。 Jack 很在乎他，不想要 Coomara 不再跟自己见面，所以 Jack 这样想，我只要每个星期都放2个或3个灵魂走，这样 Coomara 就不会发现了。另一件你需要知道他很在乎 Coomara 的事情，就是他很不想其他人知道 Coomara 的存在，他甚至不让自己的太太知道。因为如果有人发现这个人鱼，你哪知道他们会做什么事？说不定他们会杀他、狩猎他，或是把他挂起来放在博物馆里之类的。Jack 不想要这些事情发生在他朋友身上，所以你也可以看得出来，他很矛盾。因为他不想要这些灵魂被困在瓶子里，可是他也不想要伤害他的朋友，所以他想说，好，我就慢慢的每个礼拜都下来放走几个灵魂，然后 Jack 就回到家。但是这次他一到厨房，就看到他太太站在那边， 盯着倒在地上的 Coomara， 他发现这个人鱼了，然后他问 Jack 这是什么？他再看看桌上一堆酒，他说这不是为了煮吧？ Jack 说不，你不懂。然后他开始解释所有的事情，跟太太讲他是为了解救那些灵魂。在他解释完以后，太太问：那你把所有的灵魂都放了吗？ Jack 回答：没有，因为 Coomara 不会懂这个是错的，他是我朋友，我觉得我慢慢一点一点放走，他应该不会发现。如果他不发现，我们就还可以是朋友，我们可以保护他。不管怎样，拜托别跟任何人讲到他，因为我真的很在乎他，我希望他是安全的。太太说：好吧，这样的话我支持你，这个的确是为了主。所以这持续了好一段时间，每个星期 Jack 会丢石头到海里， Coomara 会出来，Jack 把他灌醉以后会到 Coomara 家把灵魂放走。所以就这样一次又一次，每个礼拜丢石头救灵魂，直到有一天 Jack 到海边丢了一颗石头，然后 Coomara 没有再出现了。我的看法是，这个故事主要在讲的是要沟通吧。我是说 Jack 其实可以好好坐下来跟 Coomara 说，好，我知道你觉得那些在瓶子里的灵魂很可怜，你是为了想要帮他们，而且你有试着帮他们，但是其实最好的方式是让他们离开，放他们走到下一个阶段，这样他们才能去天堂或者是他们该去的地方。装在瓶子里是不会帮助他们的，反而对他们不好。那如果你留着这些灵魂，不是因为想要帮他们，只是因为你喜欢亮亮的东西，那我们可以一起去找其他亮亮的东西放进瓶子里呀，这样你就不用伤害这些灵魂了。应该要像这样讲的，而不是背着 Coomara 偷偷把灵魂放走了。总之，这就是 Soul Cages 的故事。